Welcome everyone to the ECS Faculty 3-Minute Thesis. This is our fourth one, I believe, that we have now had. And I have a lot of fun with it. Stop advancing. Okay. So before we really get into it, if you don't mind giving us a little bit of information about you, promise we're not going to use this to send junk mail other than what I already sent. So if you don't mind just chiming in, let us know who you're here for. When it asks who are you cheering for, it's not your department. It's of our faculty presenters. That's what we're talking about. Oh my gosh. Hold please. Is it still doing this?
I'll work on that.
You work on that? Okay. I need to go back to the rules. Okay. Go for it. All right. So a few things, if you wouldn't mind, please do silence any phones, computers, any noisemakers, whistles, I don't know, hold on to them until the end. No air horns. It's a small enclosed space, so hang on to those. You can do them when you get outside, that's fine. Try not to distract the competitors, so we ask that you don't talk during the presentations, no flashes from the phones, anything along those lines. You can take pictures when they're done, or you can even take non-flashy pictures. We encourage those are fun. What else we got? Oh, be supportive. So yeah, it's a good competition, it's a fun competition, but we do like all of our faculty presenters, so let's be sure to give them a nice round of applause. And it is actually hard to get up here and do this in 3 minutes. Did anybody actually do my challenge? Try to explain AI to your grandmother in 3 minutes? No? Okay then, all right, it's hard. So let's have some appreciation for him then. And unfortunately, we will not have time for comments or questions after each presentation because it's a rapid competition. I'm sure we'll have time when we come to the judging. Everybody will go out, we'll have some food, it'll be great. You can come up and pepper them with questions then, but we'll hold off until that point. Okay? All right. Who am I? I'm Ben. Hello. I'm the guy who sends out the email. So welcome. I'm glad you came. No, but I am a teaching faculty, professor of instruction in bioengineering. I had to remember what we call ourselves now. And I'm also the assistant dean for effective teaching. We got into this because we think communication is important, as you can tell from all my ums. It's coming naturally to me. So we like communication. It's a good thing. It's a good thing for students to know. It's a good thing for faculty to be able to do. It's a good thing for everyone. It's one of those key components to life. Key component's a little bit of an exaggeration, but it is a key component to professional life. We'll go with that one. So this competition, which Beth will explain more about in a few minutes, you guys don't know Beth, she's wonderful. But she'll explain more about it in a few minutes, and we really kind of wanted to see this expand more to all of ECS. So that's where this is coming from. Cool, wow, you're awesome, thank you. So why do we do this? Next, please. It's not for the glory, even though it is a big part of it. It is for the children. We are doing this for the children, y'all, okay? All right, let me explain. Whoa, whoa, too fast, too fast. Ah, ruined all of it. No, okay, next please. All right, by the faculty getting up and doing our 3-minute thesis competition, we hope to inspire our graduate students, our doctoral students, to do the actual competition in the spring. The actual competition is to inspire our doctoral students to develop those communication skills. When they develop those communication skills, next please, it helps us to inspire and inform the public and the government about why we do engineering, why we do research, why do we need these things, how does it help advance society. It also helps better communicate when it comes to conferences in our scientific communities and our engineering communities. So when you go to these conferences and you're trying to explain these ideas, it rings better. Okay, it makes more sense. You can have better collaboration with those. And then lastly, we do it because it does help inspire children's shows and other ways of educating the next generation. So if we do these well, we get up and we have good presenters who are well developed in the area of communication, better than I am. They can inspire the next generations to do good things. Silence your phones, y'all. Come on, seriously, that was not cool. I had that timed intentionally. So that I would be able to remind all of you, silence your phones. Okay. After doing all that, it leads to great advancements like the Band-Aid, and the Band-Aid help the children. So we are doing this for the children. Good? Everybody follows the logic? Sweet. Okay. So let me present our judges. We have Ricky Bonilla with us. There you go, give a wave. Yes. He is an alumni from systems engineering from a few years ago. Not systems. I know, it's the SE, it threw me off. Software engineering. I've known him for years now. I can't believe I did that. He is a great help. We love him. He's a fantastic resource. We also have Matt Hunt, our ECS Director of Alumni Relations. Even though alumni relations, no relationship, despite the boldness. No, fine, okay. We also have Preston Jones with us, our communications manager and fantastic communicator. And then we also have Jay Chung with us. He is an undergraduate in software engineering, and we like him. So welcome to our judges, and thank you for joining us for this today. Next, we have our presenters. So they'll get up here in a minute. They don't have to stand or anything. But first, we'll have Shashank Searcy, followed by Laisao Su, then Benjamin Carey Schaefer, Wasim Abbas, Shu Feng, and Rafiq Adu. And I skipped all the doctors because, as it says, it gets a little repetitive, but it's cool. So we know they're all fantastic. All right. That leads me to my last introduction, our host. I'm not it. I just stand here and make noise. So, but our real host is Beth Keithley. Give a wave, Beth. Yeah. So, Beth is awesome. She's from the Office of Graduate Education. She is the Faculty Grant and Distinguished Fellowship Advisor. I have to look at that because it's a long title. She is also the actual host of the 3-minute thesis competition that will happen in the spring, which we'll talk a little bit more about. And that's it for me. So I'm going to hand it back over to Beth, and then I'm going to get out of the way.
Thank you. Yes, the student winner for 2 years in a row is from bioengineering. No pressure. Oh, shameless plug. Okay, so why do we do this? How many of you are PhD students? I'm not sure what maybe means. Anyway, so the 3-minute thesis competition is an international competition for PhD students. The idea was to be able to present their work in 3 minutes or less. Why is that important? Well, again, as Ben said, for the children, but also, frankly, because if you cannot communicate, horrible things happen, like you don't get funded. So I don't think we do it for the children, although that is a bonus. I'm the grants and fellowships person. We do it for the money. Right? Yeah, we do. Because if we can't convince people our work is important, then they will not give us money in order to do the work. So that's what it comes down to. Interestingly enough, the Pew Research Center put out a report. I just saw it today, downloaded it. Don't know if anyone saw it. The new study finds that, I want to get my numbers right, Americans think that scientists, 89% of Americans think that research scientists are intelligent. Only 45% of them think they're good communicators. 65% think y'all are focused on solving real-world problems, although 34% think you're cold. And if you don't think the cold connects to the good communicator numbers, you are deluding yourself. So that is why we're doing this. We are learning how to talk about our research in a way that is interesting and exciting, but contextually interesting, because if you just make science fun, you're just blowing up stuff, and a lot of work doesn't get done. If you're just blowing up foam in front of a lab, you're not actually inventing anything. So, anyway, what is the timeline? So if you think this is great and you want to do this, my PhD maybe students, there is going to be an info session on, I actually just posted it. It's December 5th at 3 o'clock over Teams. Info session, everything you need to know. Applications will be due on January 15th. Competition will be on the 11th, probably in here. I don't have the reservation yet. But that whole thing about for the money, $1,000. So the bioengineering student, he's won that twice. The runner-up, so she won that. She just came back. She's in biology, still a lovely human being. She just came back from San Antonio, where she won the Texas Regional 3-minute thesis got $1,000 for that too, as well as a free trip to San Antonio. And the People's Choice, $500. But anyway, learn how to do it. And you either win the money, or worst case scenario, what if you just really learned how to explain to your grandmother what AI was in 3 minutes or less? That would be kind of cool. You could be the favorite grandchild. What's the next slide? I'm sorry. Rules. Okay, let's talk about what this actually is, because we're like, this is really hard and you have to talk about your research. So it comes down to this. In 3 minutes or less, using one static slide. All my mechanical engineers are like, but my work is so much cooler in film. I know, it is, sorry. You can't sing, you can't do a prop. We've actually, not here, but at the regional, there was a woman who was talking about bats with big bat jewelry. We made her take it off. No props. You can't sing, you can't dance. And the judges are specifically chosen because they are great people who say yes, but also because it's not in their area of expertise. This is not presenting to a conference. This is presenting to politicians and convincing them why budgets for your area need to be bigger. So, but basically it comes down to this. So you're gonna listen to all these people talk about their research in 3 minutes or less. The judging basically comes down to this. If I told you could have 2 more minutes, was the topic interesting enough that you would want 2 more minutes? And would you want that person to be the person to present those 2 minutes? So you are judged, and I want you to hear those 2 things, because it's not that the best research wins, although you could argue that point. It is the best communicator of the research who can discuss impact and its relevance to you. That is how you win this. So when you're talking to grandma about AI, if she's never watched WandaVision, Vision's not gonna work. But you're gonna have to make it relevant to her. I will have that argument about Vision not being AI after this. I get it, but we can do that. And the panel is final. Okay. Okay, seriously, who are you guys?
So that's for anybody who came in late.
Yeah, if you haven't filled out the little QR code, especially if you are here for class credit, now would be an excellent good time to get the class credit.
Even if you're not here for class credit, we want to.
We do. And Ben promises not to do anything with it, and he doesn't give me access, so.
The survey's not active.
It's not working.
So the first one?
We're gonna go back to the first one real quick.
Okay. This is why I said I don't have animations and slides. Oh my gosh.
How about this one? Oh, thumbs up. Yay, thank you. This is why it's one static slide. We say that it's because it's harder. It's actually so that technical difficulties are reduced. Okay. All right. Dr. Cersei from bioengineering. I'm going to hand you the microphone in just a second. There's a clock here. I will start the clock when you say your first word, and it will not make a beep, but if you go to 3 minutes, I will say thank you.
Imagine being a child, having to navigate not just the innocence and excitement of childhood, but the harsh reality of cancer. Pediatric cancers are rare, but they are significant, not just because of the imminent health threat posed to the child, but also due to the long-term effects of the therapy itself. Chemotherapy, while effective, claims no victor. It ravages the organs of the young, developing children, harming them as they grow. Now, we are developing methods of trying to treat cardiotoxicity, cardiotoxicity resulting from chemotherapy. In order to address this dire situation, we have developed a technology called Heart Shield. Heart Shield is developed to protect the heart from the devastating effects of doxorubicin, a very potent small molecule drug. The secret behind Heart Shield is an enzyme called lactase. Lactase is an enzyme that is naturally found in a lot of plants, fungi, insects, and it has the amazing ability to degrade doxorubicin into less harmful compounds, leaving water as the only main byproduct. Now, our innovation centers around incorporation of lactase into particles known as microbubbles. Microbubbles are tiny gas-filled spheres that vibrate in an ultrasound field. Under special ultrasound application, called radiation forces, we're able to push these particles away from the source of a transducer. Therefore, when we inject these particles into the bloodstream and we apply ultrasound to the heart, we can cause them to adhere to the heart vasculature, creating a protective layer or a shield that's able to degrade the doxorubicin before it could ever get into the heart tissue. Now, our vision for Heart Shield extends beyond just the heart. There are other organs that we can target in the body with ultrasound. Furthermore, we can adapt this technology to degrade other small molecule chemotherapeutics that are used in cancer treatment, such as vincristine, which causes nephrotoxicity, cisplatin, which causes deafness, irinotecan, which is a neurotoxin. This is a platform technology that has tremendous potential to help the quality of life of pediatric patients.
Thank you. All right, Dr. So from Material Sciences and Engineering.
Right. Good afternoon, everyone. So let's close our eyes for a few seconds and dream our life in 2030s or even 2050s. A lot of things will change, and here are three examples that are most relevant to my research. The first example is that most of the energy are coming from renewable sources, so we have no concern about carbon dioxide emission and air pollution. The second example is most of cars we see on the road are driven by batteries, so we have electric vehicles. So we also have no concern about air pollution from vehicles. Last example is when we place an order online, drones can deliver our orders within a few minutes. And then there's a common theme for all these three applications, which is the battery technology. We need batteries to store renewable energies because they are fluctuating. We also need batteries that are very cheap and have a high energy density to power our vehicles. And high energy batteries are needed for drones to take heavy cargoes. So in the past 3 decades, a lot of advancements have been made in the battery technology in the aspect of cost and energy density. However, we are reaching the limit of the materials. So in my research, we are developing the next generation batteries by using revolutionary materials that shows much better performance. For example, silicon anode and lithium metal anode have more than 10 times of capacity compared to graphite anode that is used in the commercial batteries. But those materials are not stable, so they can cause some safety issues and faster degradation. So in my group, we are developing electrolytes, including both liquid electrolyte and all solid-state electrolyte, to stabilize those materials. By using those advanced electrolytes, we can develop next-generation batteries with much better safety, high energy density, and high power density. So by using those technology together with the advancement of other technology, we can create a world that is much better for ourselves, our kids, and our grandkids. Thank you.
Representing electrical and computer engineering, Dr. Karen Schaefer.
All right, so let me start by saying that nothing of what my colleagues will tell you today would be possible without computers. And if you open a computer and you look underneath of the computer, what do you see? What do you find? These integrated circuits. And these integrated circuits, the one that you see behind me is from NVIDIA, has over 100 billion transistors. So the core, the heart of every single integrated circuit are basically switches, tiny switches that turn on and off. By putting these together, you can build logic gates. With these gates, you can create adders, multipliers, CPUs, GPUs, and so on. Now, the problem that we do, the research that we do in our lab is, how do you build those integrated circuits fast and efficiently? In the past, when the first integrated circuits were created, engineers had to actually manually stitch these transistors together. Think about it, stitching 100 billion transistors together and make them work efficiently. It's impossible. So what we do in our lab is building the tools that allow you to write high-level languages, programming languages, and then synthesize them into these transistors so that you can build integrated circuits faster, more efficiently, lower power, and cheaper. And then, with these integrated circuits, my colleagues here can do the research and then can cure cancer and develop newer energy cells, batteries, and so on. Because nothing would be possible without computers. Because I can see you all now looking at your laptops. And what is inside of those laptops? These integrated circuits that we try to build in our lab. So if you like this type of research, I would encourage you to talk to us, because it's the heart of every technology that we have these days is based on these integrated circuits that are extremely complicated to build. And for that, you need to build very high technology, very smart tools that can then stitch those transistors together, right, to build these complex computers. And with that, I'll finish, and I still have 40 seconds left. So I'll pass it on to my colleagues. Thank you.
All right, from systems engineering, Dr. Abbas.
All right, thank you very much. So imagine a team of robots that are coordinating with each other and sharing information to perform some sort of complicated tasks, such as they want to spread out in an unknown region and want to cover an entire region. To understand this coordination, let's focus on this green robot over here. It is collecting data from its nearby robots. Let's call them neighbors. And after collecting this data, it is aggregating this information to get a better sense of what these other robots are doing so that it can make informed decision and can make the correct action or the correct move. However, there's an issue over here. The issue is that some of these robots over here can be faulty, or even worse, they can be malicious, trying to inject an incorrect or false information. So what would be the consequence of that? The consequence would be this green robot would severely get a wrong aggregated result. And as a result, it would take an incorrect action. And consequently, the entire network would collapse. So the question is, how can this green robot can make or reliably aggregate its neighbor's information? All right. And to make this situation even worse, the challenge is that the green robot does not know who is the good neighbor and who's the bad neighbor. It cannot distinguish between the good and bad information. So the real fundamental challenge here is, how can this green robot reliably aggregate the information from all its neighbors without letting the bad information sneak into the system, and do so without having any knowledge of the good or bad neighbors, or where this bad information might be coming from. All right. So as you can imagine, that this kind of situation appears in every single distributed system. May it be a distributed optimization framework, maybe it be distributed computing system, smart grids, multi-robot systems. So wherever there's a networking phenomena and agents are collaborating to perform some task, this kind of situation happens. So in our lab, What we do is that we have developed these resilient aggregation schemes that are provably accurate, meaning that despite a large number of these bad information sources, we are confirming that we can aggregate the information in a correct manner. All right? And not only that, but we have shown that the aggregation schemes that we have developed are provably the best, meaning we cannot design any other aggregation schemes that can handle more number of bad adversaries. So we can achieve the limits of resilience through those kind of aggregation schemes. Moreover, our schemes can also deal with the noisy information. If this data is noisy, has a lot of noise, we can still do that. All right, so in another work, very simply, I have 10 seconds. So we also deal with something called graph machine learning. Assume that we have graph structured data. These can be proteins, and we want to classify them. What are good proteins from the bad proteins? How can we do that?
Thank you.
So we have work on this graph machine.
Bioengineering, Dr. Fang.
Ten years ago, I had a LASIK eye surgery, which improved my vision to 20/20. I can still maintain this vision until now. But a lot of patients, Susan, suffered from significant vision loss. For her, having LASIK is the most regrettable decision in her life. Susan's case is not rare. Actually, 1 in every 200 LASIK patients develop a condition called post-LASIK ectasia. This condition causes your cornea to get thinner and bulge outward, leading to progressive astigmatism and ultimately vision loss. In order to detect early stage and post-LASIK ectasia, it's essential to develop a screening tool to identify patients at risk. However, the existing screening tools only focus on the structural information such as cornea thickness and curvature. But in the early stage ectasia, those structures may appear completely normal. Research has suggested the mechanical properties of the cornea can serve as a more sensitive diagnostic marker. It's also believed that ectasia starts as a localized weakening. So if we can capture the mechanical changes within that tiny region, we can actually detect the early stage. Our hypothesis is this. If we can detect corneal ectasia at the early stage using a high-resolution clinical diagnostic device, then we can identify patients at risk and thus reduce post-LASIK ectasia. However, measuring the corneal stiffness is actually very challenging in a living patient. An existing device can only provide a single read of the stiffness across the entire cornea. So it doesn't have any spatial information. To address those challenges, our lab has developed an optical diagnostic device turned optical elastography. This device is capable of mapping the corneal stiffness with high spatial resolution. And the device consists of a small probe that can gently tap your cornea, generating vibrations that travel through soft and stiff tissues at different speeds. A computer then analyzes the differences and then generates a color-coded stiffness map, just like shown here. Our results have shown for the first time a remarkable stiffness gradient in healthy human cornea. And even more exciting, we have found that early stage ectasia actually presents a more distinct stiffness pattern as compared to the healthy normal controls. Our device holds promise for clinical diagnosis, enabling safer LASIK screening and helping Susan and her doctors alike to make a better decision about their eye surgery. Thank you.
And our final competitor of the day. Representing material science and engineering, Dr. Adu.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rafiq Adu. So I'm new faculty at Material Science and Engineering, started last August. So my passion is about surfaces and interfaces for low-dimensional materials. One of my hobbies is photography, and I'm still doing photography, but at the nanoscale using microscopes. Surfaces are what connect materials to the real world. Just look at the coating on your glasses, screen of your devices, windows, solar cells, and even the surface inside the nuclear power plants are important. Wolfgang Pauli once said, bulk was made by God. Surfaces was invented by the devil. So in my lab, I do atomically thin deposition of materials using different techniques: atomic layer deposition, molecular beam epitaxy, by sputtering, by physical vapor deposition. And I follow that by in situ characterization. Why in situ characterization? So my deposition will be not contaminated by air. I characterize that by X-ray photoelectron spectroscopy to understand the elemental analysis and the doping, the bonding information. I use diffraction to understand the surface crystallinity, and I use scanning tunneling microscope to understand the atomic and the electronic structure of these materials. My current focus is on doping and defects in 2D materials and devices, and their interfaces with metal contact and dielectrics to enhance, improve the device in nanoelectronic or photonic devices. In another side, from atomic scale also to space scale, I'm developing coating to protect space station for atomic oxygen in low Earth orbits. So we don't need to replace them regularly. Another project, which is atomically precise manufacturing of 1D, 2D, and 3D nanostructures, as those nanostructures, they play a huge impact and role in advancing the new technology. Thank you again for your attention. Without my fundamental understanding, Ben will not have his device.
All right, that was the competition. They actually did make it look relatively easy, but it is not. I hope, let's give another round to our judges. Yeah, so if the judges can stay, we would like to send our competitors out so that we can talk about them. Give them a minute, and then we will let you guys go.